flowers on it, so
We're live now. All right.
we
Hey,
are.
Ben Heller. I got you live with me, Ben Heller. How's it going, buddy?
It's going great. How are you doing?
Good, man. We got two Bens here. This is fantastic. I don't know what people are going to do with themselves.
Well, it was supposed to be two Bens and one tequila,
And it
and then
is two
somebody.
Bens. It is two Bens and one tequila,
Well,
brother. Some
no,
people got to work for a living, man. I report to an office environment, okay?
yeah, right.
You guys got this little tech thing going on, work from home, booze it up, 4 o'clock.
You just forgot to bring the tequila to the office.
In fairness, I did forget. I forgot.
We had a plan, man.
Yeah,
I was gonna get a drink on right
it was
now and celebrate.
one part trepidation, 4 parts poor planning, and here I am, sans
Here you
tequila.
are. All right. Well, it'll have to be interesting. We'll make it interesting.
I'll
with that
pretend to
tequila.
drink some tequila though. Don't
It's
tempt
not
me.
the same. It's not the same, man.
Yeah, you're right. Let's see here. So we got some people coming in here. I'm gonna make a couple quick little shout outs. So the show is Love and Relo. For those of you who don't know, which I don't know how you don't know because we're doing it pretty consistently now, and you clicked on the button. So you know it's Love and Relo. I've got Ben Heller, the CEO and Chief Customer Officer of PricePoint, joining me today. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I had a really good day.
Tell me about your fantastic, amazing day.
I had a meeting with a really innovative tech company, and when things just work and you're on the same wavelength, then you see a beautiful future for yourself. That happened earlier this morning, and then my first job after my MBA, I worked for a procurement consulting group called JV Kelly Group, based in Long Island. And Jim Kelly, brilliant guy. Haven't talked to him in 20 years. I reached out because he's smart, he knows people, and he can give advice. And I reached out and had an awesome lunch with them, spent 2 hours with them. It was just like heartwarming to catch up with someone that you spent so much of your formidable years with. And he's doing great, his family's doing great, and it was just a really great day.
And then here you are with me.
Yeah, and so it's all downhill.
It's all down. Let's see here. We got a couple people floating in here. Hey, if you're on here, I want you to, you know the deal. Leave your location, company you work for, and I want to give you a shout out. I want to also know that you're actually here and you can hear me, and all is well and in your neck of the woods. This guy Ryan Kientz.
Oh yeah.
I'll grab a drink, he says. Jeff Gregory, Alaska is on. While I'm reading here, Ben, tell us the beginning of this whole tequila thing. We've been making jokes, kind of inside joke. Let the people in on the joke.
So Ryan Kientz is my partner. He's based in San Francisco. And the first time we connected, like after our first meeting, we end up at the airport together, and we're at the bar, and we see up at the top shelf the Don Julio 1942. And if you get a shot of it at a bar, it's like $40. It's insane. But it's also really good. And I felt that Ryan and I needed a way to celebrate our wins together. Because, in an office environment, you got the water cooler, you can celebrate in person. We needed a way to virtually do that. So when I got home, I bought him a bottle of 1942, sent it to him, and we started celebrating our wins together. And we just carried that on with our company culture, because PricePoint's completely remote. We've got people scattered throughout the United States and potentially around the world. So we've just adopted it as part of our culture, and the people who don't drink use ginger beer, and that's totally cool because ginger beer is delicious.
It is delicious. Yeah. And not only did you take, here's what I love, when any company takes their inside culture, their internal culture, and then they leverage it now as marketing, and they say, hey everybody, we want to share this with you. We want you to taste and see what we're about, and now kind of graft you into our vine and what we're up to here. So now at IAM, what I thought was really cool was at your booth, every time you signed a new client partner, you gave them a bottle of 1942.
Yeah, so the reason behind that is we don't win business directly from corporations. Ultimately, we partner with movers and mobility companies. They go win the business, and when they win business, we win business. So it is a joint partnership effort for everyone to win, and we need to celebrate our wins. So what better way to do it? Give them a bottle of 1942.
So let me ask you, are you still doing that? Are you still giving your new clients a bottle of 1942?
Yeah, we're not really great on process, or I'm not great at process, and neither is Ryan. But Jessica, Miranda, Holly, they're great on it. So we are doing more and more of that. But it's we got to get more consistent around the tequila.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm very anti-shilling companies, okay, but I am very pro giving our listeners and our viewership insane amounts of value. So
Okay.
here's what I'm going to do, okay? And I like putting people in the corners on live television. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you, if you're watching this right now and you have a need for international moving services, if you're a freight forwarder or an RMC, and you have a need for international pricing technology, I want you to leave it in the comments, okay? And tell just all you gotta say is, I want a bottle, call me, okay? I want a bottle, call me, okay? And then whoever's good at process at PricePoint, which may or may not be anybody at this point.
No. We hired for diversity, and diversity in our company.
They hired a Don Julio fulfillment specialist. And they will call you, set you up with a demo. If you sign on the dotted line, or probably e-sign at this point, they will send you a bottle in 1942. As a personal tip, though, I will tell you, let your wife know it's coming, and she needs to open the door and sign for it, because it is alcohol. And if she doesn't sign for it because she's got couch lock watching Netflix all weekend, they will take the bottle back, and you won't have a bottle. So this happened to me.
Yeah,
so,
I paid for 2 shipping costs. 1 bottle, 2 shipping costs.
Very inefficient. Very inefficient. That's exactly the kind of inefficiencies you're trying to drive out of the relocation process. And yet it plagues us all.
It does.
So let me go down here and do a little roll call here. We got Ryan Kynes grabbing a drink. Jeff Gregory, Alaska is on. Travis Washer, University Moving and Storage, Cincinnati, Ohio. What up, Trav? Jeff Gregory, Sourdough Transfer. Ryan Watroba, upstate New York.
I haven't talked to Ryan in a while.
I know, Ryan's great people.
What's up, Ryan?
Albany in the house. Stephen Crawford, California, former driver for Unigroup. Enrique Salazar, Relax Relocations, present. Katie Linehan, Connecticut, Grable. William Edwards, or Wallace Edwards, after hours home inspections in Detroit. Oh, cool. Yeah, I know them. Josh Barnes, Texas, Simple Moving Labor. SML, Sean Ireland, hey Ben and Ben, Dallas, Texas here, Sean. Baker International Insurance, Sean. You know what's funny? Love you, Sean. Thank you for being a part of this. Since you went to Baker, you're a lot more responsive. I used to call you all the time at Cornerstone. I didn't get nearly this kind of engagement. I'm just saying, okay? Love you. That's just real. That's just an observation.
That's just real talk right there.
That's straight dope right there. Matt Smith. Hey, Ben. Matt Smith from Move Matcher. Georgia. Hi, guys from Florida. Allison McDaniel. Hi from Alaska. Love Allison.
Yeah,
Allison,
she's great.
In case she forgot where she works, she named the company Allison's Relocation.
That's right. Up in Alaska.
Shout out to my people in Alaska. A lot of Alaska representation here. Sean liked that joke, by the way.
Good.
Okay. Anyway, keep leaving them, guys. If you don't know what we do, every time we always leave our name and where we're our company name and where we're coming to us from here, and then I give you guys a shout out because I love y'all. Let's see if we got anybody here on the book and the tube, and got a few people. All right, cool. So anyway, so Ben, we've been friends for a little while. I think you're, super smart. I love your perspective on things. You're kind of an industry outsider who's become an insider. So I think those are the kind of people that have really cool insights and kind of similar to me in some regards like that. Although you have a much more polished and professional background. So I'd like to kind of pick your thoughts on some things. So the first thing I'm going to pick your brain on. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, locked in. Okay, here we go. Okay. The military process, the military global household goods contract is going on right now. We've been talking about a lot on this program.
Right.
I think it's underreported in the global mobility space in general. However, the hardcore movers and the military side are obsessed right now with what's going on. Yeah. What is your take on this process?
So let me start with you had Chuck White on last week. It was an amazing interview. Anyone who's watching should just go back and watch at least the first 30 minutes of that show.
Get out of this video right now and go watch Chuck White.
Go watch that, because Chuck White knows more about what's going on in the military bid than anybody at this point, probably. But in that, Chuck talked about the final 4 that they're now in bidding process. But this has huge potential repercussions for the entire mobility industry and like moving industry from corporate, government, military, consumer. This will impact everything. Prior to Cardis and Serve merging, what did Cardis do? Like maybe 40,000 relocations a year, something like that.
That's my guess. I don't know. If anybody knows that number, by the way, leave it in the comments because I don't actually know the number.
Yeah. So but it's around that. That's the right order of magnitude, and we're talking 10 times that a year. It's just unfathomably big. Does Serva buy Cardis without this happening? I don't know, but like that is a huge carrot to justify accelerating an acquisition to make that happen. I think that absolutely had part of it to do.
But then, wouldn't it make it harder to service that Cardis business that you're buying if you win the contract also? Now you got to service like 440,000 shipments versus just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I don't think they're thinking from that. What part of the bid was, one of the requirements was that you had to have the capabilities of handling this, and they wanted to show how many moves you had dealt with in the past years, and no one came even close to it. So by merging, that's a clear favorite of like, okay, they manage more moves than anyone else in the world. So I think that probably had something to do with it. But getting away from that M&A activity, it's just a huge deal, and whoever wins this is going to be able to impart their will on the rest of the industry. They're going to be able to, and probably will require, supply chain integrations that just aren't capable by other relocation management companies or movers. And that gives them a competitive advantage that can trickle down into other industries. So it has a huge potential to change. And I mean, Chuck knows more about it than I was. Chuck talked, I think, pretty extensively about a lot of the problems with it, and you shared.
Is this something that a company like PricePoint with pricing software, is this something that you think your company could partner with the winners on?
Absolutely. So regardless who wins this, they're going to have a challenge of managing millions of rates and distributing moves efficiently. And most of the bidders are they're like a consortium of multiple movers, multiple forwarders, multiple freight companies. And how do you distribute that efficiently when a lot of these companies view their pricing as proprietary? And I feel like because we've been independent, because we've been designed to administer rates really efficiently for the movers and designed to be mover friendly from day one, we can support whoever wins this and help them save 50 million a year just because of the scale of all this. But besides that, like it's just such a big deal for our industry, and I'm cheers to you for bringing it to everyone's attention.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate
it. Yeah.
All right, cool. So one of the things I'm talking about changes in the industry, right? You know, and we always throw around this buzzword about disruption, right? And it's kind of like, it's one of those buzzwords that people just throw around and it kind of becomes empty. So I would like to hear specifically, what are some of the trends you're seeing around disruption? And then I want to dive into to one or two of them.
So disruption, I think you're right. Disruption gets thrown around a lot. But if you look at what typical traditional disruption is defined as, there's actually very few disruptors out there. You know the song "Started from the Bottom, Now We're Here"?
Is that Drake?
It's Drake. I would assume you love this song.
I actually do love this song.
I could see it being a Ben Cross anthem.
I bump this when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning. Or no, you know what? My favorite time to play "Started from the Bottom." Started from the bottom, now we're here. Is when I get to my hotel room at a conference and it's looking real plush, you know, and I get to throw my suit, my little 3-piece, you know what I mean? I'm getting my hair did, going down for the cocktails. I just bump, yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah,
But go ahead. I
I
digress.
thought so. No, but that's what I think of when I think of disruption. Disruption happens at the bottom. Like as time goes on, companies focus on the more profitable clients, and the bottom end of the market is ignored. And a disruptor comes along and sees that as a business opportunity, uses a different business model to go after it, and they're not appealing at first to this upper market, but over time they get better and better and eventually just eat the lunch of the bigger market. And I can see that potentially happening in both the mobility industry and the moving industry. In the mobility industry, we're seeing consumer relocation management companies and lump sum relocation management companies emerge. And what is a consumer and lump sum in mobility? That's the bottom. Like the relocation management companies up until this point haven't really found a way to make it profitable for them. Because, I mean, Ben, in your other shows, you've talked about how you're basically competing with the Google search every time.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's in Google's hard to beat. I mean, ask Microsoft, right? Ask Bing or something. Yeah. So, I mean, so I'm going to go to one, right? So we've talked about this before. Some people would say that, you talk about disruption from the bottom. Some people would say that a company like a Bellhops
yep.
is poised to do big things in the moving industry.
Yep.
And I would say I don't really see it.
Really?
How do you make a case for that?
Okay, let's get into this. By the way, I'm not pro or anti bellhops. I have no money or skin in the game, but here's how I see it. Bellhops is a virtual van line. Now they're starting on the bottom. Okay, all right, go ahead.
Wait. Time out. Do they have trucks?
No.
So when you say virtual van line, I mean, van is in the word van line, so that's kind of hard.
Yeah, but the van lines use agents, and the agents have independent contractors.
Does Bellhops have agents that have trucks?
No, but they have independent contractors who have trucks.
Do they? I thought they were an employee model. I thought they were like an employee labor model. Okay. Go ahead. I digress. Go ahead.
So
perhaps I'm wrong.
Bellhops started in consumer moves, college students moving in that you couldn't afford to hire a mover for. They're making $250, $300 for these moves. It's nothing. It's not enough for anyone to be going after, and focused on hiring college students for it. And then they've grown, and where I see them potentially disrupting the market from the bottom is that they're going and setting up new operations in each market. And instead of the traditional van line model where you have agents that there's an owner that owns all that and needs to be an owner because of all the headaches and operational challenges and customer service challenges. Like that is a tough job owning an agent. And what Bellhops is doing is removing a lot of the variables around the challenges. The customer is always coming through the app. The operations are run through the app. The software is just solving for that. So their operating costs to build a distributed network of locations is much, much lower. I'm looking at your face, and your face isn't agreeing with what I'm saying here.
Well, no, I'm only half disagreeing with you. I'm also disagreeing with Joe Fick, who's encouraging me to sing Drake live on live stream. So there's part of that. Okay. So
okay.
But the other part is I don't think Bellhops. So Bellhops, my understanding is it's an employee model where each store, each market is a corporate store, company location.
Okay.
I don't believe they have any trucks. I think they load your equipment. You rent a pod, you rent a U-Haul, whatever, they load your equipment. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
But there's obviously barriers to what they can get into. Now, do I think I think that model applies to 50% of the people that are moving, maybe more, where they're looking for like the absolute cheapest way to do it. And they don't mind going and renting a Penske truck and then bringing it, back to the house and then you know, guys with green shirts show up and they put stuff on the Penske truck, and then the homeowner drives the destination, and the guys with green shirts unload it. And if they can save, you know, a few $100 doing it that way, I think they're into that. I mean, I see customers all the time that they go the U-Haul route, right? So
Right. Like that's 70% of the market.
I think it's a lot. It's a lot of the market. It's even some of the interstate market because of the you load, we drive, you know, ABF trucks and pods containers, right? Yeah. So yeah, I see it. I see it. Does it disrupt though? Now what your thesis here is that you disrupt from the bottom and then you nibble upwards.
That's right.
Does it disrupt the van lines?
Not yet, but once you get,
how does it make that jump, I guess?
I think that they will have to adapt perhaps a second business model, because most of what they've built around is local moves. But local moves are a huge percentage of it, and they can afford to build and invest in their software. And now you have a lot of independent contractors using your software. Some of them are going to be the drivers that are working for all the agents today. And eventually they're going to be able to do interstate and 500 and 1,000-mile moves. It's gradual over time, but that's the foundation of what a disruptor would do.
I guess where I question is if companies like 2 Minute Truck haven't really started taking that interstate market because of their model, and their model's similar except it has trucks and like warehouses and it's more suited to it. Right. You know, it seems to me to be a challenge for a bellhouse. Plus, when you have such a low price point as they do, it's hard to afford the acquisition cost, because when you're playing the Google AdWord game, you know, it costs you $15 to $25 for a keyword. That right. keyword gets you to your website, and then you still have to convert it. Now, your workflow might be, you know, your booking flow might be super cool, but I don't know. Maybe. I mean, they have great branding, which I think is key, especially from a customer acquisition standpoint. I mean, I saw that at Pods, where Pods was so ubiquitous, much like a U-Haul, that people just called them first. Right. And if they're calling you directly, you know, I still remember it was 1-877-776-PODS was our phone number. Okay. And people would just call it. And if you're getting those, I mean, if people are just calling you like 2 Minute Truck in my market is $130 an hour. Okay. We are $20 less than that per hour. Right. And they win business that we never even see, you know, because we don't even get in the home, and customers don't even shop them because they think they're cheap because their logo is a stick figure on the side of a white van. They look cheap. Yep. So here's a strategy for you. Look cheap, charge more. You know, like you know what I mean? Like in a way, it's like, you know, anyway. So I just think the strategy stuff is really super interesting.
Yeah. Who knows if it's going to work, but when you have a lot of venture capital, you can grow fast. You can, and eventually they're going to be at a point where they figure it out, and then they can just pump more money into Google AdWords, raise capital to do that. And for every $100 they spend in Google AdWords, they make back 140. That's a business that they'll just pump more money into, and it'll eat up other moves. So are they a threat today? No. Are they tomorrow? I don't know when that tipping point is that they go to interstate or international, but I think if there's a company, they're one of the companies that I would look to that I believe could disrupt the industry.
And why is it again? Is it because of the brand building, or is it because of the online booking platform, the technology?
I think it's their business model. The technology enables a business model that's lower, that has just lower operating costs over traditional moving business models.
Okay. All right, cool. I want to read a couple more comments here. So Stephen Crawford says, right. John Zilka says, NRI Relo from St. Louis Airport. Remember that, what was that movie where the guy was stuck in the airport terminal? Do you remember this? Was it Tom Hanks or something? Like somebody was just stuck in the airport and he lived there for like a year because he was like between countries and he couldn't get immigration. Anyway, whatever. That's John Zilka, living in the airport. Nikola Spasovsky, greetings from Macedonia. I love it when the international crowd peeks their head out. So if you're watching this right now, I want to know where you're at right now watching it, and feel free to plug your company as well. I'll give you a shout out. And then lastly, Janet Turner, love you, Janet.
What's
Hey
up, Janet?
guys, she says, hey guys, have you tried? You're a hirsute gentleman. Have you tried the? I can't put it close to the thing; it's gonna mess up my eye. But have you tried Janet's beard balm, Ben?
No, I
Oh,
didn't even know she had a beard balm.
it's so up your alley. I didn't either until I received this in the mail. Planet Janet Apothecary.
Really?
I feel, yeah, if this does anything for me, it could do wonders for you.
Yeah.
This thing softens you right up, gets you smelling like, hold on, I have a description here. Like juniper berry, sage, clove, cinnamon, macerated in jojoba, hemp, and coconut oil for 7 weeks. Essential oils of cinnamon, wintergreen, and Christmas spirit added in.
Sounds lovely. Sounds like a holiday on your beard.
It is. It is. It's lovely.
Good for you, Janet.
You're right. You know, a little side hustle. I respect the game.
Yeah.
Oh, Janet turned Ben Heller, send me your address and I'll send you one.
Awesome.
Done. I'm all about getting free stuff for people.
Yeah, you're going to give people away free bottles of tequila if they sign up with us, which I'm totally supportive of. It would have been good had we discussed this before.
No. Oh, this is good stuff. Kelly Gurin, Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, Kelly. Let's see here. So events, you know what? This is another thing. So when I sometimes I've had the experience where I walk into a room, you know, conference room, ballroom, bar, and I see you there, and I'm like, you know what? Tonight's gonna be a good night.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, I want to talk about events that we're going to this year. Mm-hmm. And let's start with first. Do you remember the first time that we met?
Oh, yes. I remember the audacity of you. Like, so I don't remember exactly which event it was, but it was in the basement around the booth, and you walk over to me and you open up my lapel and look at the brand of my sport coat. like who does that?
When you say it like that, it sounds like a real DB move, okay?
It is a DB move.
I was looking at it, I was like, that is a lovely jacket. And I might have omitted this little nuance. That's a lovely jacket. And then I what is it? You know? And I don't even remember what it was, but I admired your jacket.
Thank you. I love that jacket. But and you had every right to do it. It's just
I did have every right to do it, but I got away with it.
Well, it made me go, who the F is this guy? And afterwards, like, we talked, and afterwards, like, you know, your Paris Hilton quote.
There's only one rule. There's only one rule. Well, dress cute and don't be boring.
Right. So you were dressed similarly to how you are now, and you may have even been wearing a hat at the time you were rocking the fedora.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you were dressed cute and don't be boring. Like you were never boring. And so that started what I think has been a beautiful friendship. I have always enjoyed connecting with you and have a genuine love for you that every time I see you, I know it's going to be a good night.
Yeah, similar. Whether it's, you know, never mind. Yeah, it's going to be a great night. So speaking of which, where are you going this year? What kind of events are you looking forward to? Doing anything new or a lot of things?
I've never been to MERC. So that's, I think it's February 17th, 18th, Minnesota. This is going to be,
Merc. We call it Merc in the biz.
Merc. Okay. Merc. It's going to be great. Like, there's, I think Joe Cardini and Yves Saib is speaking, and I think who are you having on tomorrow night on Love and Reload?
Tomorrow is going to be
Bill Mulholland.
Yep.
Bill Mulholland's going to be there. They're all doing yeah. He's going to be there. So like they're doing a session like A View from the Top. Bob Rosing. Do you know Bob?
Love Bob. Oh, God.
You should have him on the show.
I tried. He's like, I don't know. I'm the reluctant celebrity type. I was like, you know, that's great. It makes me want you even more, Bob.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's playing hard to get with me. I'm going to get him on here.
Yeah, Bob's one of my favorite people in the industry, and he's going to be there. So like, it's a lot of senior level leadership within the mobility industry, and I think it's just going to be great. I'm doing a panel on disruption. You know, come see the panel, sure, but it's going to be a great time besides that.
Nice.
And then, so that's the first one I'm going to.
Going to Merck.
I'd like to go to BAM because BAM is always legendarily good. Like it's always a bunch of forward-thinking tech enthusiasts and the innovators of the industry. So the conversations just really cater to my strengths and our business. So I love being there. So I think I'll do that. SRRC. Have you ever been to an SRRC?
No, I haven't. I was just talking to Eve today, actually, and she said she was going down there. And I believe it is right after AMSA.
AMSA. It's right after AMSA. So I'm going from AMSA to SRRC. So it's Orlando for AMSA, then Fort Lauderdale. It's going to be a great week. And
so let me plug this for a second, because if you're a mover out there and you're going to AMSA, and there's about 300, 400 of you so far who are going to be doing that, you should stick around and go to SRRC. They've already been plugging it and tagging us on social, trying to get the word out. So here's the plug, SRRC. I believe it's March. Is it March 18th?
That's right. 17th, 18th, 19th, somewhere in there.
Yeah. So it's perfect. You're already in town. So if you haven't bought your ticket already to Orlando, and oh, by the way, this is the second to last day. It's 31 days in January. This is the second to last day that you can use promo code the Gross Up for your AMSA registration. AMSA was kind enough to give a $250 off your registration, bringing the registration price down to $750. If you're a moving and storage company, if you sell to moving and storage companies, if you're an RMC or a corporate client who uses moving and storage companies, you really need to be at AMSA in Orlando, March 15th through the 17th. Yes, the 17th is St. Patrick's Day. Make it a great day. Use the Gross Up promo code, and then stick around for SRRC Orlando, the hotbed of relocation in March. Little known fact.
It's gonna be great.
There you go. So okay, so you're going SRRC.
So it sounds like you're going to go too.
No, I have to go see my family. I'm going to be in Chicago at the North American Pro Sales Conference the week prior, and then I'm going to go home for like a day and a half, and then see my kids, and then I'm going to head out to Orlando. I might bring my wife. So I haven't actually announced this yet, so I'm going to like give a little teaser. I'm winning 2 awards at AMSA.
Wow.
I know, right? So I'm going to try to bring her because she doesn't think I do anything. And so she can like hear me like give a little speech and thank her and all that good stuff.
That's great.
Yeah. So anyway, so you're going to do SRC and then what?
I think the MRC, like I've never been to the MRC before.
Midwest?
Yeah. Midwest. Have you done that?
Yeah. Midwest in Chicago.
Are you going to that this year?
I am. I just decided 2 days ago I'm going. I'm going to support my girl Erica Burton over there, who is the newly elected appointed president of Midwest. I think I'm hopefully going to broadcast from there as well. Not in an official capacity, even better in an unofficial capacity. And I'm going to do that and then probably go see some clients in the area. So yeah, I'm going to do Chicago. You going to that?
I don't have it booked yet, but apparently that one gets 250 people, something like that. So I've heard really good things. So I'm going to try it this year. Yeah. And then the last one that I think I'm going to is probably Tennessee Relocation Council. It's always a good time. I don't have it booked yet, but I'm planning on going.
Yeah, I hear great things about TRC, Tennessee Relocation Council. I've never been before, but I hear fantastic things. I think Joe Dudek is the new president over there. Another great guy.
Shout out to Joe.
Another guy that could use Planet Janet Apothecary Beard Balm.
He's got a nice beard.
He does. Yeah. A little salt and pepper action. Did you know a study came out today that said stress actually does gray your hair? Actually proven the connection.
I can understand that. I mean, the whole Obama at the beginning of the presidency versus the end of presidency.
It's like tragic. It's like the poor guy's like, oh man. Hey, so we got some more people checking in, and we got a question. A couple of things here. Anthony Gonzalez. Hey, gents. Anthony from Shift in San Francisco. Watching with my 5-day-old daughter, Zoe. Great combo. Hey, man, congratulations, Anthony.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cheers to you.
Cheers. Salute, man. That's great, dude. Zoe, pretty name too. He's got the, what do they call that? The umlaut with the 2 dots over the top. Yeah, nice. Janet Turner helped us clarify. Thank you, Janet, for keeping us honest out here. March 18th through the 19th is SRRC.
Yep.
Fantastic. We've been known to give the wrong dates. Yesterday, we broke the news about the Independent Movers Conference in Fort Worth, Texas, but we gave the wrong dates.
Awesome.
Samantha Hoff from AMSA was like, no, don't do it. Too late. Stephen Crawford, good for you. Okay, cool. And then we have a question from Joe Fick. Joe is a realtor in the relocation business. And Ben H., thanks for clarifying, Joe. I think I saw you're on the Bristol Global Supplier Advisory Council. Can you comment on that role, please? Will you evaluate new tech, et cetera, programs and initiatives?
Sure. So it's a new commission within Bristol. Dwayne is been on board now for a year, wanted to really get a group of people who are thought leaders to talk about what's coming and what's going on in their industries. And I think the overall goal is really for Bristol to hear what we see and then adapt and innovate and find potentially new business models and shift their the way they do things. But it's really just a thought leadership program to benefit Bristol. But I imagine we'll be talking a ton about new tech. I don't know if we're going to be evaluating new tech for them. I think Paul Seymour, that's his job.
Paul's really sharp too. Paul's really smart.
Paul's awesome. Cheers to Paul.
Cheers to Paul. I'm so jealous right now, Ben. I really dropped the ball on this tequila thing, man.
You screwed it up.
I really did. I had it and I blew it. I got to get Paul on here also, by the way. I did a video with Paul at Great Lakes about iBuyers. That was actually it was actually really nice.
That stuff is fascinating to me. The whole iBuying space, like, it's insignificant today, but a decade from now, it's got potential to transform our entire industry too.
Tell me, what are you talking about?
So right now, iBuying is like, well, let's talk about what it is. It is taking the home buying and selling process from what is typically 90 plus days to 5 days, maybe 7 days. And it just really simplifies. Their goal is to create a product that simplifies the whole buying process and buy your house based upon an algorithm. They can figure out what the costs are. And so the more data it has, the better these products are going to be. Right now, it's insignificant. The data isn't very good. They can only do relatively new construction in predictable neighborhoods. I think Arizona is sizable. I know it was less than 1% of new homes or homes in general were bought and sold via iBuying, but the potential for this is tremendous and could really negatively impact the 40, 50, 60-year-old realtors that are operating in today's model if it takes off. And I think the amount of money that is behind the iBuying from Zillow and Open Door is going to, they will eventually find a product fit. This is just my opinion. And eventually, once they figure out the product fit, I think Amazon's coming in. I think Amazon will buy or create their own thing, copying whatever model works best, and then making their customers now buy homes through it. Because when you get the home buyer as a part of the process, they'll give them Amazon Alexa stuff to install in their homes for free, and now they own the home automation operating system. So I think there's going to be a lot of money behind it, and but where it could go awry, if we had a recession or home prices don't continue to go up, companies could go out of business real fast if they're holding on to properties and taking losses on it. So, it's not a done deal, but I think it has the potential to be huge.
Can I just say I might be the only person who's actually really excited about a recession? Because I can't wait to see what's bullshit out here. Because there's so many valuations that are through the roof. I mean, isn't Uber losing money still? I mean, Aren't they
Of
like
course.
quarter over quarter losing like hundreds of millions of dollars?
Yeah.
And yet their valuation is sky high. I mean,
Mhm.
you look at Tesla, I think is the highest valued automotive company right
They
now,
are.
and I mean, at least sitting here in Detroit, it feels like smoke and mirrors. Now, do I want a Tesla? Hell yeah, I want a Tesla. But it feels kind of like smoke and mirrors. It feels kind of like, so I just can't. I just kind of. I'm looking forward to finding out what's what.
Yeah.
I just hope my equity in my home's not too negatively impacted.
Yeah. I'm certainly not hoping for a recession, but I hear you on the valuations and raising money and like the SoftBank stuff that happened with WeWork, where they just kept pumping more money into it, and the more money they pumped in, the more money they lost. It's crazy, and there's sort of a irrational exuberance that's sort of trickled down to a lot of companies, but um, we certainly haven't gotten the taste of it. Uh, we haven't raised any money like that, but I hear you, Ben. I feel a little bit myself.
I mean, I feel like the sooner it happens, I mean, the less harsh it's going to be. I mean, the longer you ride the wave, the more. Where's my camera? The longer
The
you
harder,
ride the
the
wave,
longer the
the
fall
harder
is.
yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
So I don't know what do I know, but I'm sure it'll suck when it happens. But it will be interesting to see who's left over afterwards. Right, a little
Yeah.
culling of the herd here. We've got a question here from our friend of the program, John Zilka. Relo
What's up, John?
ecosystem. Is it really possible on mass scale with so many different supply verticals? Excellent question.
Yeah.
I believe you are uniquely qualified to answer this.
So John and I have talked about this before. Like I love talking with John. He's brilliant. I thought your show with him was great.
Smart guy.
I think the mobility ecosystems for temporary housing, they're there. There's a tremendous amount of digitization in temporary housing, and it's only getting better. Then and I think there was more investment there because it was closer to a consumer product than most of the rest of Relo, which is more a specialized niche corporate product. But we are absolutely digitizing and making the supply chain simpler on the moving side. Destination services, I know Dwellworks is hustling to make that happen, and I'm sure there's others out there. Velocity is probably a part of that, I would say. But there's got to be a dozen of them that are going after digitizing that. And then for DSP, like DSP for corporate mobility, but for consumers, you've got things like Porch that are simplifying finding a handyman and things like that. So the supply chain is being digitized and simplified, and that I think is why we're seeing a huge influx in investment into transfer managed relocation platforms in every sector: military, government, corporate, and also consumer. And so that investment now is timed very appropriately because all these ecosystems are available to integrate into these communication and coordination platforms. Those ecosystems weren't there 5 years ago. So when not Urban Bound, but
Move guides.
Move Guides originally started doing it, they were just, their timing was too soon. And if you look, I read a study that talked about what is the greatest influencer on whether or not a startup is successful. Is it their people? Is it their business plan? Is it their access to capital? No, it's timing. Timing is everything. And the mobility ecosystems are ripe to start integrating into these platforms. We've been talking about APIs for years. Now the companies are finally ready.
Well, so that there's that kind of customer facing or client facing integration, but then on the back end, which I think is even maybe more interesting, and maybe this is kind of what you're talking about, but it's like, how do we actually get our systems actually talking to one another and get all on the same page? And is it something that it's another service provider or another blockchain or another ledger kind of system that comes into place? Is it something the existing suppliers do? I mean, if each let's say RMC develops their own, then you're still operating on 40 different, how can you ideate a little bit on how that might work?
So you said blockchain. That opens up a a can of worms, but my feeling is that eventually, and the key word is eventually, blockchain will solve a lot of these problems. But
Because
blockchain,
it's already coming into logistics. So
yeah, like Maersk has a pretty sophisticated blockchain engine, and but I think it's a private blockchain. I don't think that anyone is just allowed access to it. But I think that blockchain I think of it like internet in 1990. Like we are just at the start of it and have not figured out exactly how to work it. So blockchain systems are actually quite expensive at this point, and I don't think that they're necessary for our industry quite yet, because there's a lot of concerns. And I know Ray DeSilva, you had him on last week from mobility. I'm sorry, IAMX. He's actively working on it with Chuck and trying to solve this problem. And cheers to them. I hope they figure it out. But I don't think the industry is ready for it. But the industry is certainly ready for APIs and being able to take data from one system to another, to eliminate the need to email that information back and forth, or to require someone to actually go into their relocation management company's system and enter it. So APIs are here. They work in lots of industries.
So you say the industry is ready for it, and I agree that they should be ready for it intuitively,
right?
Because we're 2020 right now.
Right.
Should be flying around in cars. Why haven't they? I mean, why are we not integrated right now?
Because you have X amount of dollars, and what are you going to invest your X amount of dollars in? And I'll tell you right now,
high price salespeople.
That is not where the money's going.
Yeah.
The money is going into the communication and coordination platforms. It's not going into supply chain. John Zilka in your show talked about how why aren't they investing more in supply chain? That's what we're doing. We are a supply chain solution that simplifies and automates move pricing for movers and mobility companies. But we're one of many different supply chain solutions. And I just think that most mobility companies can't invest the time and money, because they've got 50 other things that require clients' attention and are sexier than having a sophisticated supply chain engine. There's no one sees behind the house. Don't look behind the curtain. So you can have mechanical Turks running around spinning the wheels to keep it afloat. As long as your front end engine looks beautiful and has a great customer service,
exactly
the customers are going, yeah, like
mechanical Turks. That's exactly what it is, because they're selling these really cool fancy portals and things, and in the back end is a lot of people scrambling to try to make it look seamless.
Yeah.
And it's not instant, it's not real time, it's not communicating directly into the databases of the suppliers. The suppliers are now forced to be doing double and triple data entry, and it's never current. As soon as it's entered, it's obsolete. So yeah, I think you're right about the sexy factor, right? I mean, you want to invest in something that's, people want to invest in things that sell, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they want to put something new in their RFP or their PowerPoint or their whatever they're presenting these days, right?
Yeah.
Or release a white paper or a thought piece, or get a branded teddy bear at the next Worldwide ERC conference showcasing their new, whatever they rolled out.
By the way, don't stop doing that, because Pip loves those teddy bears. Pip has an Ayers teddy bear.
Pip loves obsolete technology teddy bears. It's a niche that he collects. So, and when he looks back on them in 20 years and none of them are around anymore, they'll be worth a ton of money. So yeah, just keep making those. All right, guys.
Yeah. But back to your point, so in my old role at Accenture, I ran their global mobility consulting practice, and I was in an operational procurement role. I sat and saw so many presentations of technology, and I've run over 250 RFPs in my lifetime. And I was responsible for organizing and making sure that the head of mobility and all the procurement people were there. And when the technology came on screen, people get emotional. And if they see beautiful, simple looking tech, they go, wow, we need that. And all analytics of evaluating the rest of the process just goes out the window. They completely forget about it. And even though John Zilka in your show pointed out that the tech utilization is comically low in our industry.
Comically low.
Comically low.
Sub 10%.
The sub 10%. And it obviously depends on the supplier, but it is comically low. It sells so well. Those people buying it look at it and say, oh, this will be great. And I understand that. It can, people make emotional decisions. All decisions are emotional. And things like that just connect with you. You just, it's irrational, but that's what drives buying behavior. And people are smart. They know it, so they build around it and invest around it. And supply chain solutions are not sexy, but they're vital to the future of our industry.
You know what is sexy though? Lower prices. And that's what supply chain solutions drive. They drive lower price because they drive efficiency.
Right.
And I don't know why people don't understand that. You want to win an RFP? You figure out a way for your systems to integrate with all your suppliers. You increase your file load per consultant by 20, 30, 40, 50% because now everything's talking everything.
Right.
And all they got to do is talk to customers. And oh, by the way, half the stuff they probably say to customers could be done via video and bot at this point. Sorry, just saying, and I mean, hey, when's my stuff getting here? Hold on one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, July 5th. Like, okay, cool. Thanks so much. I'm going back to whatever I was doing now. They got bot, a chat bot could handle half that stuff,
mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I just think it's so undervalued right now. The integration with the supply chain stuff is so undervalued, Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, I'm not plugging PricePoint here. I mean, because I'm talking more about API. Listen, dude, I'm giving away free tequila on your behalf, and I got no takers right now. Okay, so I did my part. All right,
you've done more than your part. I genuinely appreciate it. I'm just kidding.
Me too. So we only have a couple more minutes here. What do you want to talk about? Give me like a thought or something that's interesting to you, or something you want to share. Make sure you share with people.
I'm drawing a blank, Ben.
One glass of tequila. I've seen you put away way more than one glass. Still have some opinions about things.
No, I have lots of opinions, but I just wanted to come on and talk with you, and because I always enjoy our conversations, and I don't need to hawk PricePoint any more than I already have. But no, so one thing I do want to talk about. Let's go back to the military for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, because you and Chuck in your last conversation both were pretty negative about the sole source. Mm-hmm. And I believe there are reasons to be negative about it. I think change is difficult. Doesn't matter who you are, change is difficult, and this is going to impact a lot of people. But I think that the existing methodology in which moves are awarded, distributed today there's a lot of games that are being played. There's a lot of problems. And so while I didn't necessarily agree with the structure of the RFP and how they're doing it necessarily in every fact, but let's keep it real. It's super complicated. There's no such thing as a perfect RFP here. But I think that this could be really good for the military, for the U.S. taxpayer, most importantly for the service member. I
think what you do is you get. Here's the good part of the Global House of Goods contract, right? And don't like cancel me, moving industry. But the good part is you get rid of some of the gamesmanship between the SCAT codes, right? Where you're burning SCAT codes, burning them out.
Let's talk about that, because most of the mobility office doesn't know about that. Talk about SCAT code burning.
It's an underreported thing, but basically there's 900 SCAC codes, and a SCAC code is a military contract. And I'd say probably a third to half of them are paper companies, right? Not real companies with rolling stock and everything. They're just kind of companies in name only for the most part. Mm-hmm. And they're using these companies, which are managed by probably, I'd say 80% of them are managed by a dozen players. And my numbers could be off, but directionally, that's the idea, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have half the companies are paper companies and a dozen players are managing them. And so they're just kind of playing this game where, you know, every few months, one of them burns up with bad scores because they took way too much work. They burn it up and then they put it on rehab and get the score back up. They take 20 moves. They get hundreds in all of them, and then they rehab it, and then it becomes a top scoring scat code that gets inundated with tons of work the next performance period, and then it gets burnt up again, and then they put it on the shelf, and they keep playing this game. Right. And all the while they're also playing games with the rates, right? And so the rates are, you know, 20 something discount points under what other national accounts are in peak season. And I don't believe that's the true rate of moving. I don't believe that's the true market. I believe, you know, there's probably a discrepancy of 5 to 10 of percentage points off what COD is. But anyway, my point is, without going too far into like the specifics around price, but the point is, I think you get rid of a lot of that gamesmanship.
Yeah. And the goal of those codes was to sort of, in my opinion, and I'd like to hear yours because you're more educated about this, but I thought it was for accountability. And like the movers that do a quality job should get paid a good price and be awarded more business.
They should get rewarded, right? Because the way that the military calculates who gets a shipment is based on a best value scoring system, and I believe it's 70% quality score and 30% rate. And every mover out there is like, heck yeah, that sounds great. And every corporate client out there is probably, you know what, that sounds great too. You know, we're putting employee experience first, right? And more important than price. And I think we all agree that that's where we want to be as an industry.
Yep.
But when half the companies aren't real companies, accountability, the notion of accountability actually goes the other direction. And you're just, you know, burning it up, you know. And it's not like a national account, whereas if I like have really poor performance for a year, I'm kicked out of their program entirely. You know, it's not like I just get put on the shelf, you know, like a lot of times, you know, you might get yanked entirely, right? So, you know, I think if they wanted to go to something that would rectify a lot of the gamesmanship that's being played and get closer to a true price of moving, I think instead of 900 scat codes, if there's 2,000 or 3,000 movers that want to be in the military moving business, they give out 2,000, 3,000 contracts, and they can all service it. And you have to have rolling stock, and you have to be a real deal moving company.
Yep.
And you exercise a condition that is currently in the international side of the military business called CFAC, which is Common Financial Administrative Control, and you actually apply that same requirement to the domestic side with some modifications, right? Because you do have van line relationships. But basically saying that you can't have two companies participating in the same program if they're owned by the same company, because you're getting two bites at the apple, right? And so, anyway, so you take you put a couple of those measures in place, and I think all of a sudden the program's running the way you want it to be running.
Right.
And you're getting rid of a lot of the gamesmanship.
Right. Brilliant. You solved it, Ben.
I wish they would have called me first. You know, I've been.
Yeah. Like that stuff needs to be fixed, and it hasn't been fixed, and so it justifies a change. And going to a sole source, who knows if it's going to be better or worse? But I think it will prevent. It should prevent this from happening. And we talked to another time, I don't need to go into it, but scoring, gamesmanship on if it's a good move, we'll pass you off to the operator right now to take your score down. And if it's a bad move, well, we're going to do everything possible not to get a survey score from you. There's good movers should be rewarded for that service. They should be paid fairly. And like one of the members of my team, Holly Galea, her husband was a service member, and all his stuff got lost in a shipment, and it was a huge deal for them. There's a lot of opportunity to improve this program. My biggest issue with the military bid, the way it was structured, is like I talked with Transcom, and they saw the tool, or they didn't see it, but we talked about conceptually what we can do for them. They loved it. They thought that their providers should use it. But in moving, and I think you'll appreciate this, it depends. It depends on so much. And your pricing can't just be fixed. And not just military, but in corporate world, the RFP process is just used because that is what procurement departments know how to use. It is a hammer, and it sees everything as a nail and tries to just continue using a methodology that locks in price in a world where things are dynamic and change. And what I see happening in this military bid, because we were a part of it in helping bid a bid pricing, there's a lot of risk that has been pushed over to the movers, a lot of risk. And in year one, that's fine. In year two, that's probably okay. Year three through whatever 9 years I think it can be extended for, there's going to be some serious variances based upon what was bid and what actualizes. And when it's too much money, great. The TSP, the mover, is able to hire out the supply chain. Things are going to go great. When it's too low, well, things are going to get real. And when I went to O'Fallon, Illinois, and listened to Transcom talk about the North Star, it was about quality. It was about maximizing the transfer experience and increasing quality. When the pricing is too low and the TSP is locked into it, they are going to do whatever they can do to minimize that cost. And
and if they're owned by a private equity firm or something like that, who requires greater and greater returns every quarter or every year, and the contract is what the contract is, fixed at, how do you do that? And
you keep applying downward pressure to your supply chain, and good movers are going to be paid worse and worse unless there's some oversight into this. And ultimately, that is going to trickle down into the service members and lost baggage, lost shipments, bad experiences, which is the exact opposite of the goals of this initiative. And so we want to help that. And I don't know if it's possible, but I certainly hope there's an opportunity to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, awesome. On that note, I mean, we're here at an hour. We got 40 faithful viewers still logged in live here on LinkedIn, and a couple on the book right now. So Ben, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
It's been a pleasure. It's always good seeing you. Always good hanging out. I wish we could both be drinking tequila and hanging out in person, but I'm sure we'll be doing that soon.
I'll FaceTime you later.
Okay, deal.
Take care, man. Thanks. Bye.